What's up, everybody, and welcome back to On the Break. New season, new music, new artwork. I am your host, J-Mac, and I'm joined by Josh VG. Josh, what's going on, man?
Dude, that new music is dirty. I get chills just listening to it. Great job mixing it.
Thanks, man. Every damn time. I just love it. It gets us going. We wanted something coming into the new season, a little more energy, a little bit more fun, kind of get you feeling good before we do some basketball talk.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I don't think you could have done a better job on that. So props.
You brought it to the table. I just put it together. That's how I do it. But man, I'm excited. I'm glad to be back. Kyle's out this week. He's going to be out for the next couple of weeks, so we're going to hold things down. But he'll be back soon. You guys did a great job with the preview stuff. Loved listening to it. Loved going back over the China stuff the other day and kind of just, I don't know, kind of getting back into the swing of basketball. I don't think I've really been back on since free agency.
Yeah, you've been busy with baseball. And you're much more of a baseball guy than me. I'm like, I could give a shit, right?
I get it, man. I totally get it. It's a long-ass season. And this 2-week Apex is like the most busy time for me, period, like at this company. We have football going on in full swing. We've got the World Series and playoffs happening, so we're doing live streams. And now basketball's starting. So it's like one of the only times of the year where everything just apexes together at one time, and it's intense, but it's fun. It's exhausting, but it's fun. And yeah, man, I'm pumped for the NBA season to start and to get things underway. Technically third season of this show. Last season was a full season, and we started the season before that with just playoffs. But hey, we're calling it 3 seasons. That's what we're doing.
Dude, I'm okay with that.
I'm good with that.
It's like the
man.
pilot season, right?
Absolutely.
They still count that as an episode.
That's the perfect way to look at it. You do like 8 episodes to see if it's going to sell. The public loved it. Here we are. We're back.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, man, so we've been catching a bunch of primetime games. Everything seems to have died down from the China talk, it seems like. I mean, I think the revenue streams will probably be hurting for a little while longer. Is that probably pretty accurate to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything's died down in America from the China talk, right?
LeBron's playing like he wants to get away from the China talk.
Dude, he's playing pretty well. I mean, he's passing really well. And the last quarter of that first Clippers game, he played really well, but he was not aggressive for the first half.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I've definitely got some thoughts. You know how I am when it comes to the Lakers in general, but man, there's that thing's ugly. But like I said, we'll get into it. I think there's a ton to talk about here. So I guess as we go into the new season and everything, let's just go personal for a second on teams. How excited are you for the Thunder? Is it going to be kind of a rough year, a rebuilding year? I mean,
I'm going to be honest. So this is the first year that I've shelled out for League Pass, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how I haven't done this previously.
It's the best thing ever, man.
Dude, I love it. I haven't watched the Thunder game.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Because this year's about getting Steven Adams and Chris Paul and Danilo Gallinari in a place where people want to take them on and then showing those guys out for assets, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe holding on to one of them. Maybe if you had to hold on to one, obviously Steven Adams is a choice. Maybe Danilo, not Chris Paul. But I haven't watched any of their games because this year is not about this year. This year is about the future for them.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that I'm not a fair weather fan by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just they're not as appealing to me as some of the other teams, and they're not going to be as fun to watch as some of the other teams. I'll go back and I'll study film, but they're not ones that I was going to give up a Lakers, Clippers primetime show for. I wasn't going to do that or I wasn't going to give up even a Bucks Houston or the Celtics 76ers. All those games were way more appealing to me than anything the OKC Thunder played in.
Definitely. And I get that, man. Like rebuilds are tough, right? Like you're thrown in the towel more or less. You're saying, okay, as currently constructed, this is not going to work or it hasn't worked or whatever the case may be. And so you're going to move on. And sometimes you have to do that. It's how it goes. And a lot of times it sucks whenever you feel like you had the pieces there and the timing just didn't work out or whatever the case may be. I mean,
it sucks when you had 3 future Hall of Famers on the same team.
Yeah.
And timing.
Yeah, no, I know. It sucks, man. I mean, I think they're definitely a victim of the West just having been absolute juggernaut for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think they're a victim of bad coaching is what they're a victim of.
That doesn't help anything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it's like the East is starting to get there. There's just so much talent in the league, dude. It's unbelievable the amount of talent that's in the league.
It's so true, man.
We're going to be in a situation in maybe 10 years where there are legitimately 10 teams competing for a championship every single year. This year, there's at least 5 or 6 teams that legitimately could compete for a championship this year.
I agree with that. And like we've talked about this a whole lot on this show, but like they're going to have to expand this league. They're just going to have to.
Dude, I agree.
There's not a better time to do it. There's really
Right.
not. I mean, the talent, it's just so like deep on every single team aside from the Knicks that like, you know, I mean, the Knicks are carrying like 4 point guards and 4 power forwards. So, I mean, they're set up for success for years. But like, you know, at the end of the day, like there's so much talent. I mean, it's hard not to have a super team.
Dude, look at the Jazz. That
Yes.
team, nobody's talking about that team. That team possibly has possibly the best defender in the league, possibly a top-tier point guard defender that's a top-tier almost all-star, a shooting guard that could be a future Hall of Famer. You know, like that's crazy amounts of talent on that team. Nobody's talking about them.
Or look at the Nuggets. Same exact thing.
Yeah, exactly. They had the best passing big of all time.
Yeah. And then they've got, you know, Porter coming back. So like, you know, they've got, man, it's going to be an exciting year. Like this is going to be a great year for basketball. I think everybody's kind of excited that Golden State's on their ass, but people are going to hate the Clippers in no time.
They're less hateable for me just because, one, Kevin Durant's not there, right?
It's fair.
And then two, I remember the game that I was watching where I just decided that I hated Steph Curry. I can't remember who was playing, but I remember what happened. He was like 0 for 10 from the 3-point line for the entire game. He was having a horrible game. And then he hit a 3 so that he was 1 for 11, and then he shimmied down the sideline. I was like, I flipping hate that guy.
Sure.
So I don't think that the Clippers yet have become that like villain where they're just cocky. Like Patrick Beverley, you can hate Patrick Beverley because he's already getting pretty feisty down there, you know. But I don't think Kawhi is ever going to be that villain like LeBron James was in Miami, or like he's kind of turning into now, or the villain like Kevin Durant was in San Francisco. I just don't think that Kawhi has that personality where you can just hate his guts.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's one of those things. It's not about the team really at all. Like before Golden State, it was Miami, you know, and just so on and so forth. There's always a team like that everybody just, oh, well, they just beat everybody, so I hate them. And it's like, that's not really a good excuse. Like this Clippers team, man, I'm stoked about this Clippers team. They are fun to watch. We'll get into the specifics of it, but like, I'm really excited to have a legit contender in the West. I mean, it is put together by, you know, bringing in free agents, but like, it's really not either. Like that team was really good last year before they brought in Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, there was nobody. It's like the difference between Miami LeBron and then Golden State Kevin Durant. The Miami LeBron team wasn't winning championships before, you know. The Golden State Kevin Durant team was winning championships. And when you add that player, it's like, who's going to beat them?
Right.
You know, this team wasn't winning championships before. They were good. They were actually about like Miami was, where they were the 8th seed coming into the playoffs, you know, and lost in the first round. But they weren't that Golden State 73-win juggernaut that some big name went to.
Well, and when we talked in the offseason, right, when free agency started and the AD deal went down and everything, we knew that the Clippers were a team that needed Kawhi. They had to have Kawhi. There was not any direction. If he would have went to the Lakers, it was over with for them.
Yeah,
and like they just weren't going to be good enough. Like they needed those two superstars to put them over the top. And I mean, and that's what you're trying to build, right? Like that's what you're looking for. And it doesn't always work, but more times than not, it can.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way.
Right, exactly. The 8th seed without any youngsters is the worst place that you can be in all of the NBA.
Anywhere from 8 to about 12 is just the worst place you could possibly be.
Right.
So I'm excited for the year just because I think there's going to be a lot of hatred towards some different teams for once. And I mean, I've never really shared the feelings of hating Golden State like you have, or I mean, hating on Golden State, I should say.
I don't think anybody hates Golden State as much as I did.
And I get it, dude. Like every reason that you have to hate them is pretty justifiable at the end of the day. But like for me, like I've just never really cared that much because I care about watching good basketball. And I know like that's ultimately what it came down to for you, is you had to let that go and just be like, all right, we're never going to see something like this again or at least for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was hard for me to watch them move the ball around and watch them play so unselfish and still be like, man, I hate that they're doing it so much better than any of my teams that have done it, right? Especially when you're watching these teams that should have not as much talent as them, but Paul George and Russell Westbrook is nothing to nothing to
Sneeze at.
at, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah. And they didn't move the ball. It was just ISO ball, and that's not pretty basketball. Golden State's playing this gorgeous basketball. It was hard.
Yeah,
right?
I get it, man. I totally get it. And like when Paul George got there, it seemed like that was the way they were really going to go. Because you don't have it wasn't like a Mike D'Antoni situation where it's just run and gun the damn thing. It was definitely set up to be that kind of basketball. It just didn't really work out. And that's a great example of how sometimes these rebuilds don't work. But I think also Oklahoma City did a good job of capitalizing while they could. Like they've done the best, like some of the best front office work I've seen in recent years where whenever they've got to move and shift, they move and shift, and it somehow works out pretty well for them. Because by all stretches of the imagination, they shouldn't have anything left in the cupboard or on the court.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like if you could have made their coaching staff as good as their front office has been for the past since they traded away Harden, that was horrible. But since then, we'd have 5 or 6 championships by now, you know?
Yeah, I definitely. So I think about that a lot, and I know we've gone back and forth on this, but like I also don't know that Harden would have turned into Harden if he wouldn't have left.
No, but what he was like, he didn't need to be turning to Harden. He just needed to continue to let Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook develop because what he was Westbrook's safety valve. Whenever Russell starts getting too into it and trying to do too much, Scott Brooks would sub in Harden for him and let Harden take care of it. And Harden was came in and just slowed things down, played in the half court. Didn't play great defense like Russell was back in the day, but he came off the bench and scored well, you know? So he was like Russell Westbrook's safety valve. I've got this. You're getting a little excited. Take a step back for a minute, you know? And really, like, we may have never seen the Harden that we see, but I think that OKC would have still rattled off some championships.
I mean, 85% Harden is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. And he was so efficient, dude. That's like he was only scoring 16 points a game, but it was on like 10 shots, 8 shots. It was efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need off the bench.
That's very true. It was definitely a weird time. I didn't watch the Thunder quite as closely at that point in time, so I didn't see. I mean, obviously, I remember that team playing because that was 10, 11, 12?
Yeah,
right
2012.
Right in that area.
Was prime. That's when they went to the championship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and like I don't know. It never felt exactly right. I didn't watch it quite as closely as you did, though. So, I mean, it is disappointing. But, I mean, they've been able to rebound from stuff like this, and they've been able to actually build on the fly. And I think that's something that you can probably take a lot of solace in, that this rebuild is not going to take them probably as long as it typically would for some other team.
Yeah, I hope not. If they continue to hit on their draft picks the way that they have, like picking up I think Steven Adams was like number 13, and then Serge Ibaka was like number 26. Harden was a high one. He was number 3 or 4. Russell was number 4. KD was obviously number 2, but like they've picked up so much talent in non-lottery or like late lottery. It's unbelievable, actually.
Well, and I look at like rebuilds like what the Mavericks have done, where it's like, I mean, 2 years ago you were looking at Dennis Smith Jr. as your star, and now you're looking at Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. I mean,
exactly.
You like there are ways to expedite, but you have to be willing to take a chance and make the leap whenever you need to actually make that leap. And you know, I mean, it's the same thing with Trae Young for Atlanta. Like he was going to fall. They had the opportunity to trade with Dallas because they knew Dallas wanted Doncic, and so it worked out okay. You have to be able to take advantage in those spots and those rebuilds, and not everybody has a pass like Danny Ainge did whenever he rebuilt the Celtics with being able to fleece Brooklyn as much as he did. I mean, not everybody has that chance to miss on a bunch of picks and still be okay in a rebuild. But if you can expedite it if you do it the right way, and I think that's what's key to highlight for them. So I know how it feels with the rebuild type thing, man, but I think it can be done on the fly if you play your cards the right way. And if there's an organization out there that I trust to probably play their cards the right way, they're definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
They've got 7 picks, right?
Yeah,
more,
which is
more
awesome.
than that.
And they went from like 2 to 7 within like a week and a half or something like that. That's impressive. It's hard. It's hard to do.
Right.
But so I went to the Mavericks opening night the other night, and so this got 2 tie-ins. We were talking about one about the rebuild, and 2 about your boy Scott Brooks. They took on the Wizards the other night. They absolutely clobbered them for the most part. Did you watch any of this game?
Dude, I didn't. I was so my new sleep schedule is 9 p.m. So I have to catch up on the late primetime games the day after. So I was watching. I think during that game I was watching
probably the Boston game. Probably the
Was
Boston.
that Boston Sixers? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was locked into that.
Yeah, so this game was interesting. I say this almost every episode. I can't believe Scott Brooks is still employed there. I really can't. Like, that team is terrible.
Dude, he sucks. He's horrible.
Yeah, he's terrible, and I mean, they're just a product of it. You can just tell. And it
lots of ball sticking, lots of saying, Bradley Beal, save us,
Right, a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the stats from that game because it was really horrific. At one point, it was like late in the third quarter, and they were shooting like 20% from the field. It was horrendous. Yeah. And so I do take a lot of like, I don't know, I look at I guess what I'm looking at right now is just the progress and what this whole Kristaps and Luka thing is really going to look like, right? And I think that's what I'm most interested in watching for that team overall.
What did you think of that? Luka had 34 that game.
Yeah, and I think Kristaps had, I've got it right here, he had
23 points he went 3 for 7 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, not terrible.
I'll take 43% from a big all day long.
Absolutely. You could tell that he needed...
I'll take it from anybody, actually.
Very true. You could tell that he doesn't really understand Rick's flow offense quite yet, so it's going to take some time, right? Like, this is game one for these guys. It was weird being in the building without Dirk. That's for sure. I've never been there without Dirk. Most people haven't. And I'm like, I think he's going to stay away for a while because you kind of got to let everything breathe and move on, right? Yeah. But it was a different environment for sure, but it seems like Luka is kind of primed to take that step forward as far as being the leader of the franchise going forward. But into the game specifics, I mean, they're just going to take some time because the biggest takeaway I had were, look at the point distribution in that game. You had Luka cleaned up, you had Kristaps clean up. That was about it. Yeah. You didn't get anything from the rest of the unit, and you've got to they're going to have to figure out how to get those guys working. They will. It's early, right? New crowd, new team, everything. I mean, that team's pretty much rebuilt all the way up. But they had a lot of post presence problems down low. They don't have Dwight Powell back yet, so that doesn't help. I mean, he's usually good for at least 6-7 boards a game, and I'm not a big Dwight Powell guy, but he's still a big cognitive piece to them.
Here's just looking at the box score. Like, I didn't watch this game. Here's my concern. Kristaps had 4 boards. That's a concern for me. Like,
yeah, sure.
He historically has not been a great rebounder. Like, the most that he's ever averaged was about 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a 7'3" guy on the court and not have him pick up more than 7 boards. Like, he's got to be able to box out and get strong down in the post.
Oh, and truthfully, man, that's kind of what goes back to what I was saying. Like, he just doesn't understand the offense quite yet. He's just not there yet. And that's fine. He hadn't played in it at all, really. So it's going to take some time, and him and Luka figuring out each other is going to take some time. What really is the biggest concern to me is Dallas built a 30-point lead that they blew in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that from young teams. That's definitely something that they're going to get worked out, especially when you have such a young core of guys around these two absolute superstars or, potential superstars. Mm-hmm. You're going to have that, right? Like, that's just a building thing, and that's just a growing pain that you're going to go through. But that's one thing I've always hated about Rick Carlisle is that he is historically terrible in the third quarter. There's a lot of games where they're fall out of, and then they have to crawl their way back, and they might win, but they may not. And with a younger team, they've cleaned a lot of that up, but it's going to take some time, I think. They've got some building to do for sure.
Yeah, that was a relatively slow-paced game at 103 possessions. Offensive rebound rate for Washington was 21%. So that's them getting offensive rebound 1 every 5 shots. That's a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough, man. Yeah. They're going to have to clean that up.
Definitely. So they're going to...
Dallas is.
Definitely. There are just a lot of things like that where it's just going to take some time. I love seeing Rick Carlisle get booted from a game, first game of the season. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Love that. Or actually, he didn't get booted. He got teed up though, and I love that. I'm all about fiery kick a basketball into the crowd. Rick Carlisle.
He does that, man. Maybe more than any coach in the league I can think of.
He hasn't in the last. Yeah, Pop definitely. I love, dude. That's my favorite thing ever is whenever Pop gets thrown out of a game because he makes it count when he does.
Yeah, it's always like they're up by 30 and he gets thrown out or something like that. It's like he's like, I don't want to be out here anymore. Mm-hmm.
I got a dinner reservation. I got to get going. Yeah, but I love the fire in it. I think, there was a point where KP put up a sick jam that was thrown out by Brunson. Like, a lot of really good stuff like that. Like, there's some good things to look at, but they also blew a 30-point lead. So that's concerning. And so they're going to have to clean some of that stuff up. Again, they're young. I'm not really too worried about it. But it was quite the game to be at. So talk to me about the Boston game on the other side. So I didn't really get to watch this game very much since I was there, plus World Series was going on.
Right. So Boston, one of my buddies texted me and was like, hey, my buddy's giving me 10 points on, or I think it was 5 points on Boston. Should I take this? And I was like, dude, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Because you don't Philly looks like they could be the best team for sure in the East. If Ben Simmons shoots 45% from the field, outside of the paint, they could be the best team in the league, dude. Philly's flipping good. Like the Bucks, if Giannis shoots 35% from the 3-point line, they could be the best team in the league, right? There's just so many question marks first game of the season.
Philly basically assembled the Monstars team is what they did.
Dude, they're flipping huge.
They're enormous.
They're humongous.
They're enormous.
So I told them I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I don't care if he's giving you 10 points. I wouldn't touch it. Not because I didn't know that Philly was going to come out and win, but because it was the first game of the season. Boston actually led throughout the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they led through most of the game. Philly really put them away in the third quarter, outscoring them 28-20. That's generally when more talented teams come out and adjust and play really well. Look at Golden State. Over the past 3 years, they've been the best third quarter team in the entire league.
Right.
It's because they've been the more talented team just about every time they step on the court.
Yeah, that's besides the point.
Right. I actually texted you at the end of the first quarter and said, your boy Tatum is balling out.
Yep.
Because I watched him hit 2 deep threes in a row. And he was also making good reads. He ended up shooting 8 for 22 with 21 points.
Pretty good.
I would say that's pretty horrible. Like the 21 points is nice, but 22 shots.
Yeah, he did 22 shots. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
he
fair.
did shoot 4 for 8 line, and he grabbed 10 boards. But I thought it was good. Jason Tatum to be determined. Jaylen Brown, after his big time signing, what did he get? 120 million.
Yeah, it was 4. Well, it's with incentives, so it's like up to 120 million. It was a really it's a. Go ahead. I'll talk about that in a second. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
He finished with 8 points, 7 boards, a steal, and 0 assists.
I mean, the biggest thing about this Celtics team is they're going to miss Kyrie being a creator. That's going to be the biggest thing that they're going to miss here. And Kemba is not really that guy, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get Kemba situated in this offense.
The good news is Brad Stevens is very much a systems guy. He's
Correct.
The opposite of Donovan in that, Donovan would love Kyrie because he'd just be like, I don't know, Kyrie, do your thing,
Yeah.
And Scott Brooks as well. But Brad Stevens wants to run a system, and I think that Kemba Walker will fit better within a system than Kyrie.
Oh, definitely. Because Kyrie need way too much of that, free reign just to do what, just to create, and that's fine, but they're gonna miss that for sure.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy the other day about if I thought that Kyrie could average 30 points a game this year, and I don't. It's hard to average 30 points a game whenever you're creating your own shot constantly.
Yeah,
like Harden did it last year, and Kobe did it
always,
multiple all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know that Kyrie is as talented as either of those guys. You're putting out so much effort because Kyrie does a lot of side-to-side movement, and he's max effort on every single time that he scores. He doesn't get a lot of those just pop off a screen and drill a 3 like Steph Curry or like Kevin Durant or LeBron. He doesn't have the basketball mind that LeBron does, So it's a lot of max effort. That 50-point game in Brooklyn, while it was huge,
they still lost.
They still lost to the Timberwolves, dude, and that's not a good team.
No. But my thing about
I don't know that he's going to average 30 this year. I'd be surprised if he did.
My thing about Kyrie is, and what was weird about his fit in Boston was obviously he was incredibly valuable to the team, but the offense always had to run through Kyrie.
Yeah, and that's not what Brad Stevens is.
Right. Well, and that's fine, but the way the team is set up is it's supposed to run through Gordon Hayward, and then kick out from there. And it just and that's what's going on now. That was one of the bright spots that I saw. I mean, Gordon Hayward had 25 points. Let's see, he went 8 for 15
shots, bro. He played out of his mind.
He really did. He had 5 defensive rebounds. He looked good the other night, and that was the first time I've seen the offense, other than some flashes last year, really truly run through him. And we knew that it was going to take a little while for that, for him to really get back. But while I felt like it deminimized either Kyrie's role or Gordon Hayward's role. You didn't really have both sides of that coin. Like one was going to ball out the other, and then it was really going to make it hard for people like Jalen and Tatum to really be able to step up and actually do other things. Because while you're always looking for those creators and those guys that you're running things through, you still need those other pieces around you to make up the blank spots.
Right.
So yeah. I think that's interesting.
Brad Stevens' system is built for one dribble scorers or two dribble scorers. Like he's not built for these people that just ISO and then dribble back and forth and then make a play, right? And that's what Gordon Hayward is he's a one dribble scorer. Like you don't see him ISO and go between his legs 3 times and then get somebody leaning and then cross him over to the right and then shoot a fadeaway. You see him come off like a high pop or something like that, or a curl, and then he either takes a dribble or he pulls up and shoots, right? Mm-hmm. That's what he is, and he's great at that. Yeah. And he's going to be – I think that he's going to have a good year.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. What was their over-under? I think it was like 45.5, something like that. Does that sound right?
Oh, man. Let me look it up.
Something like that.
It was – I would be surprised if they were lower than 5, which in the East was like – 47, 48.
Yeah, I think they were right around that area. They're going to be right about that, though. I think. I don't think they're going to be a whole lot better, but I'm not really sure. I think they're going to be okay overall.
48.5.
48.5. Wow, I'd probably take the under, but not by much.
Yeah.
It's really just going to depend. It really is. But, I mean, and his Cantor looked okay.
I think that might be considering them a 3 seed in the East.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Enes Kanter had 12 points. He had 6 boards. Like that's not a terrible. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like plus minus a whole lot. I don't know how you feel about that, but minus 12 plus minus is.
I think that plus minus can show deficiencies.
Yeah.
So like Kanter, for instance, what'd you say his plus minus was?
Minus 12.
Minus 12. And look at how efficient he was offensively. 62% from the field, 0 for 1 from the 3-point line. That's going to show me a deficiency. Well, they lost by 14, a little bit better. But if that was like in a win, it shows you deficiency on the defensive end.
That's fair.
Is what plus minuses will show you.
That's fair. All right, so we were talking about Kyrie. I mean, where's your head at on Brooklyn this year?
I think they're not going to be good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs because a superstar in the East will make you make the playoffs, right?
True.
But they don't have – I could see them getting easily bounced in the first round. I could see them getting swept in the first round if they make like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
If they make a 6 seed and they play against Indiana or Boston, they might win 2 games. But they're like – Kyrie just dropped 50 and they lost to the Timberwolves.
No, I know.
50.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he dropped 40 and they lost to the Timberwolves. He dropped
50.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, though, with him is like when he's going off like that, the rest of the team's not doing a lot.
Right. Exactly. So Karis LeVert played out of his mind last year. As a matter of fact, he was a fringe all-star, right?
Yep.
So let's see what happened. I want to look at the stats here because I didn't get to watch that game. But I
mean, really what it comes down to with them is, I mean, they lost D'Lo, so you're replacing it with Kyrie, and you're going to spend some time just trying to get the rest of that. I don't know. I feel like my thing with that is like, while you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get everything to gel together, it's very different than like the Celtics situation, because like with them, that team was constructed very specifically. And it really worked in a lot of different ways, but Kyrie is just kind of a wrinkle in the sheets there. And I don't know what's going to happen when you add Kevin Durant. I mean, they're going to get better, but like, I don't really know how those two are going to play on the court together properly.
They're not as good as the Warriors. They're both ball dominant guys. Like Kevin Durant's going to realize this guy's not Steph Curry and he's not Klay Thompson. Right. He's not locking down defenders and he's not setting me up because people have to guard Steph Curry 50 feet from the rim. Dude, their bench lost it for him, bro. So Kyrie was plus 18. Their bench overall, -7, -15, -12, -13, -16. Man, that's tough,
rough,
dude. That's bad. DeAndre Jordan, 2 points in 16 minutes, bro.
How many boards?
2 boards.
2 boards.
3 boards in 16 minutes. Not good.
Well, DeAndre's not there to be DeAndre Jordan of 2013 and 14.
Dude, the way that Kyrie and Kevin Durant were talking,
Well,
they thought he was or something. I don't know.
he's their boy, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to dog on him. That was a sweetener at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
A mole that went to the Knicks to find out what was really going on.
Maybe. Andrew Wiggins, dude, God, man, that might be one of the worst contracts I've ever seen. What they maxed him.
Why did they give that to him? Why did they give that to him?
I don't know, man, but they ruined Karl Anthony Towns' career by giving that to him, is what they did. He was minus 26 on the night. Minus 26, 21 points on 27 shots. Worse than Jason Tatum. 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Shot 2 free throws, dude. That's not being aggressive. Yeah. That's shooting. I don't even have to look at the shot chart to know that he did nothing but shoot mid-rangers.
What if you... So we were talking about the Jalen contract. I think that Danny Ainge set him up to where if that doesn't work, they could go after Karl Anthony Towns. And I bet you they'd trade him.
Here's what I fear. I fear that Danny Ainge went, I can't let these assets that I've accrued get away. I've got to pay this guy.
No, you have to.
And hope that he pans out, right?
Kyrie Irving just walked out the door. You have to.
Yeah, because they offered him 4 for 80, right?
Yeah.
And then he said no.
Of course.
So they said, okay, fine, 4 for 20, 120.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like the thing is, if you were going to let Kyrie go, you've got to pay Tatum and you've got to pay Jalen. That's just how it goes. But like, I think they also paid him in a way that they can move that contract if they need to.
Yeah, they didn't max him.
No. And I mean, if you're Minnesota and you've got Karl Anthony Towns and nothing else, and you can take Jaylen Brown, a piece for the future, and some picks or whatever, get a max contract off, maybe even I don't really know how the money would work. I'd have to look at the specifics of it, but get off of some of those dead deals. You kind of have to consider taking that, and that'd be a good move for both sides.
Karl Anthony Towns balled out too, bro. He went 36 and 14, 3 and 3.
Mercy.
36, 14, 3, 3 and 3. 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, dude.
I know that Kyle thinks we're
22 shots.
On 22 shots, Jesus Christ. I know that Kyle thinks
for 11 from 3-point line, dude. That's a 7-footer.
I realize
7 for 11.
I realize that Kyle thinks we're crazy, but we're not crazy. He's a good player.
Dude, he's good. He's being wasted over there.
He's being wasted. That's the problem. And I think if they can't get anything going this year, they're gonna look to trade him pretty quickly. Because I mean, why not? You have to take advantage of it. You have to. I realize you want to dig in because it's Karl Anthony Towns, but he's wasting his career there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'd take the money if I were him too. I get that, but like, at the end of the day, what do you want to do, dude? And I mean, that may end up proving Kyle right and us wrong, that he just doesn't really want to win, and that's fine, I guess. But it is what it is. But
that's true.
Look at your legacy, and I would choose to think that most guys want to have a better legacy than like Delonte West or whatever.
Dude, if this guy doesn't want to win and he's putting up 3 blocks and 3 steals, that means that he's playing on the defensive end, generally 3 and 3.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to win and he's putting up that, dude, that's freaking talent,
absurd.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy talent.
That's absurd. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we see a breakout from him because he is fun to watch. He's Definitely. A lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. Well, so we've had some other big games, and I want to talk to you about this Lakers game, the Lakers-Clippers game to open. Did you watch all of this? What was your...
No, dude. I watched. So I went back and watched the highlights, which are like...
That's all you need.
I can find... There's a couple of YouTubes that are like every single play or every single scoring play. You don't get to see the defense as well because you generally see... I would say that NBA teams probably score about 50% of the time on defenses breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even worse than that. Maybe 60 to 70% of the time on defenses breaking down. So you don't get to see those good defensive possessions and see the type of scheme that a team is running.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times it's LeBron James in a fast break, so you don't get to see what the Clippers are actually doing, or you see a pick and roll that happened where maybe somebody didn't rotate right.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get to see the type of schemes that the Clippers are running, and vice versa with the Lakers as well. So I don't like that I only got to see the scoring plays, every single scoring play that happened throughout the entire game, but I feel all right with it. Ultimately, I went into that game, and I can't remember if I told you guys this or somebody else at work. I said, it's going to be a blowout. Regardless of who wins, it's going to be a blowout, and it's going to tell me nothing about how these two teams are going to be.
And do you feel that to be true?
Yeah, I very much
really?
do. I think that it wasn't as much I predicted a 15-point loss by one of the teams. Here's the deal. If there's just too many question marks. Kyle Kuzma wasn't on the floor. Paul George wasn't on the floor, which could have theoretically made the Clippers better. Because at the end of the day, the reason why LeBron's taking a lot of heat for not being aggressive and not scoring. The reason why he wasn't aggressive and wasn't scoring is because he was trying to defer to Anthony Davis. He's never deferred before in his entire career. And he's got to be able to figure that out. Because there were times where they were sagging off LeBron to guard Anthony Davis because he looked so freaking unstoppable. Mm-hmm. And LeBron was sitting there and they knew that he was about to pass to him. And so Anthony Davis would get a pin down or something like that. And LeBron would throw it knowing it was a pickoff, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, and the Clippers didn't have to worry about that. You plug Kawhi in, he's the alpha dog. He doesn't have to defer to anybody. He just has to go out there and get buckets.
Just
right?
do his thing, yeah.
So they didn't have to worry about Paul George being out there and taking possessions from Kawhi and vice versa, or trying to balance that out. Look what the Rockets did last night, dude. Like, the Rockets, James Harden and Russell Westbrook looked scared to play with each other because they were both trying to not make the other person mad, or at least respect the other person. I don't think they care about making the other person mad.
They'll work that out.
They were arguing and stuff, but I think they were at least trying to respect each other. The Clippers didn't really have to worry about that.
I'll tell you this, man. So I want to preface all this with saying this is early reaction. This is game one. So we don't know anything, right? We don't truly know anything. I choose to think I do know something, though, because I watched this whole game.
That's fair. That's fair.
And this is what I took. I really made three main takeaways from this game. Number one, I'm not worried about LeBron and AD. I'm not worried about that. I think they're going to get that worked out, no problem. This is the first time in I can't even remember how long where LeBron was the third best player on the court between Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and him.
You were talking about on the Lakers.
No.
Who's JaVale?
Alex Caruso. Come on. I think
actually that's true.
He got a DMP, I'm pretty sure. But it's one of those things. I'm not worried about those two filling it up. This ragtag bunch that's around them, though, are terrible. And that is going to be, that's not going to get better because you had Danny Green out there who went 7 for 9 from 3-point land and really kept them in this game as much as they were. But this game was never even really close. It really wasn't. The Lakers took the lead a little bit at the beginning, but once the Clippers got things figured out and put their foot on the gas. I mean, number one, you've got Doc Rivers coaching against Frank fucking Vogel. And at the end of the day, that is just something that they're not going to be able to get around. The second takeaway I had from this game is that, and I'll get back to the first one in a second, is that Frank Vogel is running that damn Pacers offense that he ran when he was there for so long. It's an offense that was run 10 years ago, almost now, and you got the Lakers trying to run this same kind of offense where it's not a lot of high screens, not a lot of work down low. And again, you don't have Kuzma, and there's some things there that you're trying to probably make up for. But it's just a mess, dude. And you're not going to have JaVale McGee out there playing 27 minutes a game. You can't have that. That's not going to work. And obviously, again, once Kuzma gets back, that should help. But it's there were so many times in this game where whenever you would sit Anthony Davis, for instance, where LeBron was looking around at this team with that look on his face. You've seen this look. You know exactly what I'm talking about, where it's who the fuck are these people? And rightfully so. LeBron James gets to say that. He does. But, and you know how much of a team guy I am when it comes to all this, right? But
right.
At the end of the day, that's not something they can get around. That team around them stinks. And Dwight Howard, dude, 30 pounds lighter or 40 pounds lighter Dwight Howard, who's a vegan now, sidebar, the vegan thing, I think that gets in the way of all these athletes that are on that.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't either. But he looks like somewhere between a zombie and a mummy. And I'm not sure which spectrum is which, but he looked terrible, dude.
He looked bad. He looked
really
not
bad.
Good.
And that's your saving grace? He's going to be on the couch stiff as a board by December.
Yeah, most likely with the flu because he doesn't have any protein in his system.
Exactly. And so for me, what it comes down, again, these are early reactions, but there are it's one of those things and we've been joking about it through our group text for, all summer long about, they're going to be done by Christmas, blah, blah, blah. My legit thought was that they'd probably be done by the All-Star break as far as just realizing this is not going to work. I do not think it's going to work properly with that cast of characters. And that's aside from LeBron and AD, because they're going to get it figured out. But they were out there. That was my third thing that I saw, is that they were out there trying to play the same position the whole time. And that's going to fuck them up, man. At the end of the day, LeBron is supposed to be the point guard in this system. And he's not a point guard. He's just not.
Yeah.
Not to take away from LeBron, but he's just not a point guard.
Yeah. I can understand where you're coming from on all those. I actually really like their roster, except for vegan Dwight Howard. What the heck is that? That's another one of those power bottom moves, dude, is what that is.
For sure.
But I actually really like this roster. I think that I said it all year or all summer. Danny Green is the biggest pickup because that dude he was the second best 3-point shooter in the league last year, and he locks down defend or other players on the opposite end of the court. Avery Bradley's a similar. I think he's shot 40% from the 3-point line for his entire year. And last night he shot 40%, or against the Clippers he shot 40%.
Let me tell you about Avery Bradley for a second, because I've watched the Avery Bradley show.
You've watched him play.
I have, and it does not end up the way that it always is intended. It just does not with him.
Well, historically, the way that you win with LeBron James, you just throw 3-point shooters around him. And then, look at that. The Cavs team that beat the Warriors, it was just a bunch of 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
And LeBron James, and he makes it work because he draws so much gravity that, people just find themselves wide open. In the preseason, some of the passes that he looks like Magic Johnson out there, man.
Yeah.
And he has to find that was why they lost the game, is because he just wasn't aggressive. He has to find a way to mix his aggressiveness throughout 4 quarters with, I want to be a facilitator and I want this to be Anthony Davis, play through Anthony Davis,
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, I don't think, and hear me when I say this, because this is going to be weird for me to say at the beginning. I still don't think that this team should play through Anthony Davis, in that you initiate offense with Anthony Davis. Mm-hmm. I think that this team should play with Anthony Davis being the first option, but you have to initiate the offense with LeBron. Because the more that you can have Anthony Davis moving without the ball, whether that's Vogel was fantastic at that when he was in Indiana in regards to off-ball screens and just moving around and making flex cuts where somebody does a screen on Anthony Davis at the bottom of the key, or on the right side of the key. We're on video now, so I can do this stuff.
Yeah.
On the right side of the key, you put a screen on him, and then you go back behind the rim, and then you just sit your butt down underneath the rim, and you throw a pass in there, and he's got his guy on his back already, so he just does a reverse dunk. Right?
Sure.
Frank Vogel was fantastic at that, and that's what I think you need. You need to play through LeBron James, but have Anthony Davis be your first scoring option.
Yeah. But when it comes right down to it, man, I've been telling Kyle this, and I don't know where you're somewhere in the middle on this, I'm pretty sure, but I am more than convinced that LeBron doesn't really give a fuck about playing basketball anymore. And I will say, LeBron's not give a fuck about playing basketball is still better than 85% of people in this league.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he cares about winning the same way that he used to, because dude, that Cleveland team was so much worse, and he put that team
so bad.
He put that team on his back. That was the most impressive thing I've ever seen out of an athlete before, was the way he did that. And I had the utmost respect for him for doing that, because it was incredible. But I just don't think he cares. And if you think about it, he's got a perfect built-in excuse, because there's 2 things that could happen here. They win a ring and it's LeBron and AD's show, and that's what happens, right? Or they lose and it's the Lakers' fault for not putting a good team around him, and whatever. He's LeBron James.
Yeah.
And it's win-win. It's fucking brilliant. It really is. I can't hate the guy for it.
Right.
I just don't think he cares about basketball the same way he used to. And I know that's a big indictment, but again, 85% LeBron's better than everybody else in the league.
Yeah. And for me, that's to be determined for me. Like you said, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't yet know. I'm going to hold my judgment till the middle of the season. Last year at the end of the season, at the middle end of the season, I was like, he doesn't care. But I'm going to hold off on that until I see these teams play a little bit more. I still have the Lakers in the top 5 power rankings for me. However, have changed my view on the Clippers, and they are number 1 for power ranking for me. I think I had them at 2 or 3 at the beginning of the season. They are number 1 for me now. And they look like the most impressive team.
No doubt. And to your point earlier about the way that the Lakers are going to have to run their offense, and you're going to have guys like Danny Green out there. It's not going to be the offense that's really going to give the Lakers a lot of trouble, but the defense is just they're going to get murdered, I think. And out again, this is all outside of AD and LeBron for the most part, but LeBron load manages himself by not playing defense much. And people give him a hard time about that. And, we've talked about that on this show at nauseum because like it's not that he doesn't want to play defense, it's that's where he kind of takes his breaks. And because when he wants to play defense, he can play defense. But why is that going to change in season 17 for 35-year-old LeBron?
So it's different. Here's what I think it was something like this. Back in the day, somebody discovered cheese, right? Probably a French guy. Okay. And they were like,
Louis Pasteur,
this is right. Whoever discovered cheese, French guy.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing that I've ever had in my life. And they were like, this cheese is fantastic. And then some idiot left it out for too long and it turned gross and disgusting. Then some other French dude ate it and they were like, this smells like shit, but it's delicious. Like, this is fantastic. Okay. Right? original LeBron James defense was cheese. He has become stinky cheese now. So here's what I mean by that. There was a play where they were trying to pass the ball back up to LeBron James because they were trying to do an entry pass to Anthony Davis. Didn't work. Passed it back out to LeBron James, and Kawhi picked it out of the air, right? Mm-hmm. And knocked it over. There was a race between Kawhi and LeBron, and Kawhi beat him to it. Back in the day, LeBron leaves him in the dust, right? Like, as freak athlete as Kawhi is, LeBron was way more of a freak. Leaves him in the dust, goes and picks it up, probably turns it around and turns it into a dunk. LeBron couldn't beat him to it. Kawhi beat him to the ball. LeBron puts his body into him the whole way there and is in his hip pocket the whole way there until he makes Kawhi uncomfortable enough to drop it off to his big. And then LeBron immediately turns around and swipes the ball off the big's leg, and it goes out of bounds back to the Lakers. Yeah. That's stinky cheese defense, dude. That was like LeBron using every skill that he had to the minimal amount of effort to where he gets the possession back. And that's what he has become. He's so smart, dude. Like, if you watch him play, he doesn't close out on guys that shoot less than 35% from the three-point line because it doesn't matter to him, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, you can shoot it. You can shoot 30% from the three-point line if you like, but he closes out on guys that can shoot. Right. And he switches and he makes the perfect read every single time on defense. And sometimes whenever you're going so fast mentally but not moving as fast physically because you know that you know what's about to happen, it looks like you don't have as much effort. Oh, I agree with you. No, I get it. He's still a top-tier defender. It just doesn't look like it. Yeah, no, I'm yeah. But I agree that he does that to save it on the other end. Yeah. He's not flying around the perimeter like he used to and guarding multiple positions at the same time like he used to. That's not him anymore. He was 35. He's 35 years old. Yeah. Right. At the end of the day, stinky cheese isn't as good as regular cheese, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still great. I've never had stinky cheese. Yeah, I assume it's still great. I'm sure he's still a fantastic defender, and he's a much better defender in this day and age than a lot of people give him credit for. He doesn't take possessions off, but he does save energy on defense. Yeah, I get that. I don't think that with his attitude about basketball now, I just don't think he cares that much, much to really put himself at risk because he realizes that every dollar that he's making right now is building his bank account. And you know what? He's earned that right. He has. And if you look at the list, and it's a little bit, between you, me, and Kyle's top 30 list, there's the top 10 are a lot of interchangeable guys, right? There's a lot of movement, but they're all the same guys. To me, he's not moving up that list anymore for the most part unless he wins another ring and does it in a spectacular form. Probably not going to happen. It's just probably not. You have him at 2, right? No, I have him at 3 or 4. Okay. Because I have Kareem, Wilt, MJ above him. I thought you put Bill Russell above Wilt for being a Boston fan. I forget exactly how I had it. I write it down because I go back and forth between them. No, that's right. I've got Michael, I've got Kareem, and then I've got Bill Russell. That's right. Okay, and then Wilt, LeBron number 4. Yeah, Wilt fell further down the list. That's right. Okay. Last I re-looked at everything. So I have him at 2. I just don't think he's going to pass Bill Russell. I just don't. At the end of the day, and that's okay. Again, LeBron's earned that right. Yeah. But it just feels different to me. I don't know how to explain it. When I look at what I've seen out of LeBron the last 4 years since he put that team on his back, I don't feel the same thing from him. I just don't. That's fair. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting year with them, man. But I will say, and I wish you would have seen this kind of more in real time, there were about 5 times
where they called a timeout and Jason Kidd got up off the bench to do coach things and then realized, oh shit, I'm not the coach, and sat back down. That's going to be
not the coach, and he's not the assistant coach either, bro. His title might say that, but he's not the assistant coach on that team.
It's going to be a mess, dude. Whenever that all boils over, that's going to be a mess.
Yeah. I really like Vogel. I think he has a really good offense, and I think he did some things with those Pacers teams that shouldn't have been done with those Pacers teams.
But they never really got out of like the first and second round. They just never did.
That's because LeBron James was playing against them.
It's true, but I don't know.
And that was prime LeBron too. But yeah, dude, I feel you. He got fired for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't fire like Rick Carlisle's still in Dallas, even though they got a number 3 pick.
Right.
So,
and was he in Orlando for a little bit too? Yeah, he was in Orlando.
Maybe.
Before
I'm
that.
not great
after
I'm not
that.
great at the history of coaches.
Yeah, he went so he was the head coach. So he was an assistant with the Pacers from 07 to 11, and then 11 to 16 he was the coach for the Pacers, and then he went to Orlando for 2 years after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he's varied success, I would say, overall, but just I don't know. I just don't really believe. I think that was a lackluster hire for me. But I mean, at the time, it was such a circus. Magic could just up and quit the team. Like I mean, what choice did you have other than fucking hold on to Luke Walton? Like I don't know what you were doing there,
dude. Yeah, they definitely. I think Luke Walton has better potential than Frank Vogel. I think that not getting Ty Lue was the best thing for them. Honestly, Ty Lue was a coach's coach or a player's coach. He's a lot like Scott Brooks in that like he didn't really have a great coach mind, but he could make really good friends with the players, and that's why LeBron loved him, is because they were tight,
I with you there. LeBron was the coach of that team. Let's be honest, because
that's exactly right.
Because nobody else has been pounded down the door before or after to hire Ty Lue, even though he's got a ring.
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, like and sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you don't really need somebody to really tell you what to do if you've got LeBron James on your team or Michael or whoever like that. I bag on Phil a lot because I think he coached some of the best players of all time, and it's pretty easy to win with Shaq and fucking MJ. But I he deserves some respect too. I get that, but I just don't see Ty as one of those guys.
Actually, I'm probably being a little bit hypocritical with Ty Lue because my first response whenever you said that was the best thing that Phil Jackson did was get out of the way of those two guys. Yeah. But that's what Ty Lue did too.
Definitely.
So I guess I need to give him some credit for that.
Definitely.
So that's my bad, Ty. Ty, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
The best thing you could have done is get out of LeBron James' way, and you did a good job of it.
Dude, Ty Lue earned some points in my book by just absolutely body bagging Rich Paul the other day when he tried to show him some love and just looked at him and walked off. Yeah. It was fucking brilliant, dude. Absolutely brilliant. I love that cutthroat shit in LA.
He knows that Rich Paul's the reason why he got fired from the Cavs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, he did the same thing to David Blatt and all that stuff too. So I mean, it's no different really.
Yep.
So, I'm just trying to think. So I mean, where do you have the Lakers? You have them like 4?
So right now, preliminarily, I'm gonna take shit from Kyle for doing this because I love the Bucks. But I've got 1 is the Clippers, 2 are the Sixers, 3 are the Bucks, 4 are the Lakers.
Wow. So I thought you were higher on Utah than that.
I was. They haven't been as impressive to me as any of those teams. And the Lakers are 0-1, right?
Sure.
They're 0-1, but how bad they played, and for them to not just get blown out of the water, and for as
they did get
unstoppable
lost by 12.
I mean, they lost by 12, but those games are like 12 is pretty par for the course in today's NBA. It's not like it wasn't close to at the game or at the thing, and they got outscored 17-27. They got outscored 10 points in the fourth quarter, which is when second half is when talent takes over, right? But they were neck and neck in the third quarter. It was tied at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, but I mean, good teams close out. You've got Doc versus Frank Vogel. Give me Doc any day of the week in that situation. Yeah. That's another thing the Clippers have going for them is getting Doc out of that GM role and just focus on coaching because he's a damn good coach.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've given him shit a lot on this show.
Right. I just didn't think the Lakers were as polished as the Clippers were. I think the Clippers won that game not because they had more talent, but because they were more polished.
But they did the same exact thing to Golden State last night too. So
they beat the shit out of Golden State.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, and Steve Kerr said, we're going to have those nights from now on. That's just how it's going to go here. And that's part of it. I mean, you lost Kevin Durant. That's tough. And Klay Thompson's hurt. So that's just going to be that way for a little bit. And D'Lo and Steph are going to have to take some time to get to know each other. But I honestly think, man, that I've got the Lakers like 6. And I think that's probably a little bit generous because I think Denver's exponentially better than they're going to be. And I don't know what Portland's going to be like yet.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're 1 game in, right?
Sure.
For most of these teams, 2 games in for some of these teams. So I'm not going to argue with you when you say Lakers 6. I'm surprised that you have them there. Honestly, I thought you would have them lower.
Yeah,
but
again, it's a sliding scale though a little bit, and I prefaced all that with that early reactions. We know nothing right now, but we pretend to know something because what else would we talk about for an hour?
Right. So here's the other thing: the Clippers. And I wouldn't have had the Lakers ranked this high had I not seen what the Clippers did to Golden State last night. Mm-hmm. The Clippers just scored 141 on a team that's known for being a good defensive team. Like, I get that you don't have Clay on the court, but you still have Dre on the court. Yep. You still have that defensive mindset, right? They scored 141 on them.
That's absurd.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points, especially on a team that has a championship pedigree, multi-year championship pedigree.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether the coach is still there and the heart of the team is still there and Draymond and then Steph's still there.
Dude, that's like all-star game type shit.
Yeah.
That's absurd. It really is. Lou Will is one of the most value signings I've ever seen.
Dude, he might be a top 20 player in the league.
No, right?
He is just a walking bucket, dude. Like, he doesn't miss.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, Montrezl Harrell looked good. Landry Shamet looks good. Zubac looks pretty decent. Patrick Patterson looks good. This Clippers team is far and away better than most teams in the league.
Steph was very disappointing to me. I said that it's a 2-man race this year for MVP. Yeah. That's Giannis and Steph.
I agree with that.
And I'm going to have to see a lot more from Steph. I don't know what was going on. He went 2 for 11 from the 3-point line. He probably shimmied after he hit one of them, though.
Probably. That could happen. That could bring you bad juju, that's for sure.
It'll bring you 20 years of hate from Josh Bristow.
It's true, but I think, though, that he's got he's been playing in a pretty easy offense for the last couple of years. And there's going to be some growing pains there. And I think Steve Kerr is right. There's just going to be nights like that with him. And, and him and D'Lo will figure it out and all that. So there's a lot to come from that team as well. All right, man. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up. These hours go quick whenever we actually have a full season going on, right?
Yeah, no joke, man. I'm ready to talk about 10 more teams.
I know. Well, we'll get to it. We got plenty of time. We got the whole season. We'll be doing live watch stuff, too, once we settle down a little bit with World Series stuff being over. So, we'll be able to do lots of kind of live in-game commentary and stuff like that. We'll get Kyle back and all that. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll wrap things up, and I'll see you next week.
All right, see you, bud.
Later.